Okay, so let's talk here, all right? First of all, welcome back to my new home here in Florida. But, let's get real about this. Anxiety's up, depression is up, suicide rates are up as well, all because of this COVID-19 situation, right? Well, today, even if you're not going through this yourself, which, God willing, you're not, and you know someone, though, that's suffering with these kinds of issues, please share this information with them, because today I'm going to be spending time with America's Drugless Doctor. Dr. Bob, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Listen, let's talk about this. I mean, as far as I'm personally concerned, I see things getting far worse before they potentially can get better. But I'd like you to talk to me about, in your perspective, how bad is this? What are you seeing around where you are?
Well, I really think the biggest challenge that I see is the fact that people are underneath enormous stress. And there's a new word, and I was just on a different call last night, and there was a mom that said something to us that really is impactful. And we talk about this a bit in the new book that I have. It's called Performance Anxiety. We have a lot of moms at home right now that are taking care of their kids and their grandkids when it comes to schoolwork. They more than likely don't have anxiety because of the virus per se, but it's the collateral damage from the virus. The mom's not a teacher, and so she's having anxiety because she's not the only one I'm talking to. I'm talking to a lot of moms. And could you imagine a grandma or grandpa, 60, 65 years old, and having the responsibility to help their grandchildren? That creates anxiety.
There's no doubt about it. But from my background, I can see that now more than ever, with all of this anxiety and depression that really is there, even if, like you say, it's not directly related to COVID-19, really this is a time, Dr. Bob, for really thinking more and not being so overly emotional, because when we start to feel this way, we can really lock up. But again, going back to COVID-19 alone, I mean, I'm seeing this time and again over here. These reports are just constant. Federal numbers are saying that the toll-free hotlines are going through the roof. Doctors are talking about throughout the country that people are reporting that they're more depressed and anxious over this whole situation, their future. A lot of people don't even have work now. These stay-at-home orders is really driving people insane, just about, right?
Well, I think what really is interesting and what I can see from my perspective, I wrote my first book on ADHD 20 years ago. And ADHD had a big link exact what people are putting in and on their body. What's happening today, if you look at some of the statistics and some of the people that really have the issue with the virus, they're talked about at least 40% of them are having an issue because of their weight. A weight has a lot to do with what's happening here. But then if you take it a step further, what are we putting in our bodies today? We're putting in dead food, processed food, and our nervous systems cannot manage it. So I have a very interesting model here. This is a model of the nervous system. And what I want your viewers to see is we're talking about the brain and the spinal cord. Now, we all have stress, and we all handle stress in different ways. What you put in and on your body impacts your body's ability to manage. Your nervous system, if it's not up to par, is going to have some challenges, whether it be anxiety or depression. And I have learned over my career, and I've been doing this since 1978, what you put in your body becomes your body. And if we were to have a real live conversation with individuals, a lot of people suffering today, and I'm not saying they don't have real challenges, but we all have challenges, and it's how your body is set up to handle those challenges.
No, I like a lot what you're saying, and this is what's really hitting home for me, and I hope a lot of people are getting this message loud and clear. Everybody is hearing how COVID-19 is hurting those that are immune compromised. Those are the ones that are really in serious trouble. We're talking about people that obviously, for the most part, actually die from being infected with this. But the bottom line is, just like what you just said, Dr. Bob, they're overweight. They have hypertension. They have diabetes. For me, and I'm saying this with compassion, Dr. Bob, it's no wonder that people are extremely nervous going out there. I think on some intuitive level, they know they don't feel well already. They've been on some shaky ground, and now they've got this novel infection to deal with, So why don't we just get into that a little bit more about how you would help people navigate through this? I mean, specifically, let's talk about the food, because if you put on the TV, I mean, I don't mind saying it. It's Dunkin' Donuts. It's the pizza. It's the fast food restaurants. That's all you see that they're talking about. Alcohol sales are up like crazy. So all of this is going way up. People are at home and anxious. And are they really eating and drinking the best things for their health?
So I really think we need to get down to the basics. And the basics, real simple basics, is this. Your brain and your nervous system, which I just showed you, needs oil. It needs a type of oil called omega-3 fats. Even going as simple as eating walnuts and pecans is a start in the right direction. What you're going to want to do is become label savvy. You're going to want to back off some of the snack food oils like safflower oil and sunflower oil because they create inflammation in the body. And what I have learned over time is we need cofactors to make these oils for your brain. So you need zinc. An excellent source of zinc is pumpkin seeds. You need magnesium for a cofactor. It's green food. So simply put, minimize the amount of processed food that you're putting in your body, because that processed food literally robs cofactors that are needed to make fat for your brain. Now, we have two types of challenges that are impacting more people. I see more anxiety now than depression, because people who have depression really don't ever see it coming to an end. A lot of people, like the lady I talked about last night, this was the first time that she's had anxiety. Well, I have a chart. I have an assessment for people to take, which I call the B and the G chart. It's a form of B vitamins. And what I have learned is a lot of times people with anxiety need B vitamins. B as in Bravo. They need minerals. On the other hand, people with depression, they need oil, but they also need the kind of B vitamins like choline and riboflavin that help fat metabolism. It's an interesting comment. You mentioned about alcohol. Over time, alcohol could literally cause depression. So for everybody watching me right now, me and Jonathan, you really want to first evaluate the situation and then become proactive. Do not become passive. Even taking a walk twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon, it creates feel-good hormones, endorphins. This is going to be the simplest recipe that I could give all of you to do. Drink water, pure water. I have the ability through testing that you could literally see red blood cells will open up and they'll carry more oxygen. You want to do that. Be aware of some of the other nutrients that you are taking. We do testing for them. A lot of people, especially if you're over 40, if you're on any digestive drugs, you might not have enough B12. So just some simple tools that you can do will help make a demonstrable difference in your body's ability to manage the perceived and real environment that we are working through right now.
Dr. Bob, it's great information. I know a lot of people who are watching this kind of information, they already get it. But they should know at this point why I create these programs. It's hopefully so that they're going to share this information with someone that may not know this kind of stuff. I mean, as you were talking, I was just, again, thinking back at all the images that people are being bombarded with while they stay at home. They're tuning into all these commercials that are talking about eating donuts. Are you kidding me? The sugar in all of these foods, even like delivered pizza to the home where the flour has so much sugar in it, it is automatically reducing somebody's immune system. So again, all of these people with suppressed immune function and this bacterial and infection, these viral loads that people are going to be exposed to, those are the people that are going to be the most in trouble, no?
Yes, and I can tell you there are simple blood tests that you can do, blood tests that we do for our patients when it comes to wellness. I would encourage everybody to get what I call, not what I call, but it's called a CBC, a Charlie Bravo Charlie, with the differential. And if you have this blood test, I want you to look at your neutrophils, N-E-U-T. Neutrophils will elevate with more of an acute bacterial infection in your body, and they go way low when you have a chronic issue. But the one that people don't talk about are the lymphocytes. Lymphocytes elevate with a virus. The flu, whatever kind of flu you want to name it, because this flu's been around forever, I'm going to give you some insight. I happen to be blood type A. Blood type A traditionally will have a greater chance of a virus challenge than blood type O, and that's because we don't have the ability to absorb calcium. Calcium glues cell membranes together. When you have the glue together, the viruses cannot do their dirty work. If you don't have enough calcium, viruses can get in. I used to get herpes simplex on my lips. I don't get that anymore because I take L-lysine every day, L-lysine, and I take a calcium that is an acid calcium like calcium lactate or citrate. So that's going to help all those that are blood type A. Now, what I always see is we tend to get the flu during the winter time, January, February, March, and April. And a part of that is in America and around the world, we celebrate holidays. Holidays mean sugar. Sugar leaches nutrients out of the body. January, February, March, almost no matter where you live in the United States, except for Hawaii, southern Texas, and Florida, you don't get enough sunshine. Sunshine converts the cholesterol in your skin to vitamin D. Vitamin D creates and allows the blood to take the calcium from the blood and put it in the intestine. Calcium glues cell membranes together. Your body also needs oil, omega-3 oil. That takes the calcium from the intestine to the skin and to the periphery. So we have all of our patients put vitamin D on their tongue. They take calcium, and they work at being very proactive about how their body function is. So that physiology alone should help each and every one of you.
I think that's great what you're talking about. Again, people who are at greatest risk, and think about the population out there of people who are very overweight. They have bloated intestinal tracts, everything you were talking about the permeability. What about our gut? When our gut has that leaky syndrome that's going on as well, where things can pass through so easily. People's bodies are under so much stress normally that's why it's so difficult then for our immune system to handle these kinds of things that come up, whether they be bacterial or viral. So I love the idea that you're talking about sealing things up on a cellular level. The intestinal tract should seal up as well. And that has a lot to do with eating the right foods and drinking clean, fresh water. I mean, look, if somebody wants to get a sweet craving satisfied, what's wrong with just having an organic apple, right? It's really about changing lifestyles, no?
Well, I can tell you, yeah, organic raisins would be another option. Your liver is a really important organ. We don't talk about the liver enough. There's cells in the liver called Kupffer cells, and Kupffer cells are like Pac-Man, and they eat the unwanted, unfriendly organisms in a person's body. I also know that a lot of individuals, and you mentioned pizza, wheat will deplete the body of minerals. Let's talk about this leaky gut for a moment, because that's another challenge. And all of you could do a simple test when you're done watching me right now with Jonathan. It's called the saliva or the sputum test. And the best is do it first thing in the morning, that you could literally spit in a glass of water, preferably cold water. The sputum should float. The sputum drops to the bottom. Potentially you could have a yeast or a fungus issue in your body. If you have toenail fungus, if you have fingernail fungus, the problem is not the nails. The problem is inside of your gut. So we encourage our practice members, our patients, back off wheat, back off soy. Both of those will take minerals out of your body. But you said something interesting that we also test our patients for, and that is pH. the pH in your body. Many people are stressed today. When you're stressed, your pH becomes very acid. We use a saliva test paper, nitrazine paper. We can test it. When your body is acid, it's going to literally use up all the minerals. Your body needs those minerals, which is very essential. But once again, I'm going to direct you back to your blood test. Look at, because everybody has blood tests, Jonathan, but nobody ever interprets it for them. Look at your carbon dioxide, CO2. If your CO2 is low, you probably have an acid challenge in your body. On the other hand, if your chloride level is high, you're also acid. Now, I'm not telling you to drink any kind of different water. I want you to start eating minerals. Take 3 or 4 cups of Epsom salts, put it in a bathtub, soak, eat green food. Any kind of multiple mineral will help that. I can't necessarily take away your stress, but I can give you the tools that'll help manage the stress. I want to mention one other area of the body here. It's called the adrenal gland, and I talk about this in my book about mental stress. The adrenal gland, as most people know, makes adrenaline. So if I yell fire right now, everybody's going to run out of the room. That's adrenaline. Well, adrenaline is made from a protein called tyrosine. Tyrosine is an amino acid. This is very important, by the way. So tyrosine and iodine make thyroid hormone. Tyrosine, unbeknownst to many people, is a natural antidepressant. So you can see when you're stressed, your body's going to use up tyrosine. You're going to probably have some depression. You could have a low thyroid with cold hands, cold feet, constipation, and fatigue. I'm going to take it one step further. And this was a 35-year missions trip that I was on trying to figure this out. When I was first in practice, patients would come in and they were stressed. The ones that were super stressed had white pigment on their skin. It's called vitiligo. It wasn't until a few years ago I read this article about tyrosine, adrenal hormone. Tyrosine is a source or an ingredient to make melanin. So people who are stressed, don't have enough tyrosine, have depression, cold hands, cold feet, pigment loss on the skin. Jonathan, it's a puzzle. And I've been really fortunate, as you've been fortunate, and we're working together to educate people to make wise choices to become engaging and proactive on their health journey.
All somebody has to do, Dr. Bob, is just look into their own life. We can't control the outside, but if we're feeling tired, if we have brain fog, if we're having trouble sleeping at night, and we feel that anxiousness, all of these things that you talked about are so important to get busy doing. Get better hydration. How many people are dehydrated? With all of the stress going on, talk about a vitamin C deficiency. You mentioned vitamin D as well. When all of these things start to change, when we get more antioxidants into our body, when we start feeding ourselves and drinking the right kind of fluids better that are clean and healthy for us, you're 100% right. All of a sudden, we start dealing with stress better. We're able to think more clearly, which is going back to what I said at the beginning. Athletics taught me one valuable thing over my life. No matter how stressful your situation might be at the moment, if you get overly emotional, game over. If you start thinking about, okay, here's my situation, what have I got to do now to get better, and then make a decision to do something, that is a very powerful feeling. And I think that's what's missing in today's society. When we hear only message is stay at home, quarantine yourself, wash your hands, and pray, hope for some vaccine in the future. And again, I have nothing to say about that. It's just this overall attitude, though, of just let's wait and see, which is very disempowering and encourages people to actually be more anxious and worried about the future instead of, hey, get busy doing some of the things that you're talking about right here today, Dr. Bob. I love it.
So the simplest thing to do is just start with a glass of water and take a walk. If you do that for the next 3 days, not a glass of water, at least a quart of water. If you just start doing that alone, you're heading in the right direction. A couple body signals. If you cry easy, you have sore muscles after exercise, and if mosquitoes like you, that usually tells me you need vitamin B1 or thiamine. On the other hand, if you have a little fracture in the corner of your lips, that's a sign that your body could use riboflavin. So there are body signals that we could read to help make a difference for everyone. So make sure you get to bed by 10 o'clock. Those hours before midnight allow your brain to create growth hormone, and it just helps your body equilibrium get back to normal.
Dr. Bob, I think the title of who you are is the best, the America's Drugless Doctor. You give out great advice today. I really appreciate your time. I just want to finish up by you talking about your newest project here, Drugless Guide to Mental Health. What inspired you to write this book? And you know what? I just want to be the first one to thank you for actually doing it, but talk to us about it and where people can find out where they can get the book, you know?
Well, it's been a 2-year project. And I started doing this because many years ago I wrote a book on ADHD, and what's happening today is exactly what you said. We have a lot of major issues, and we talk about this in the book, that we are too tethered to social media. I also know, and this is a new concept for people, is reality versus perception. You could perceive it impacts you physiologically. I talk about this in the introduction. If you ever go to a movie theater and they have the previews, and sometimes in the previews they have you're going on this roller coaster, your body does not know. And I get a pit in my stomach every time I know it's going to happen. It's physiologic. So we address true physiology. I mentioned B12 in our conversation, but an area that's a big challenge today are the SSRIs, select serotonin reuptake inhibitors. The book is not designed to take people off of medication. Our goal is to educate people. And if you're not on a medication, you follow these steps and these principles, your statistical chances of not having that to be on it reduces. It's going to give you more of a bigger idea how much medication, including drugs like proton pump inhibitors, Prilosec, et cetera, are impacting our emotional and physical health. And one last thing. I have a chapter in the book about emotions. I learned this many years ago. I have training in traditional acupuncture, and I know that sadness impacts the lungs, the emotion of sadness. The liver is impacted by anger. The gallbladder is bitterness. The kidney is fear, and the spleen is anxiety and worry. The spleen has everything to do with your immune system, Jonathan. I wanted to pass that little nugget of information on. And then this whole concept of what you're doing, performance anxiety. You might not be in the best spot right now, but this too will change.
Dr. Bob, great information. I hope people go out and get your book.
Amazon.
Right. And besides Amazon, where else can they go? Do you have your website?
They could go to our website, which is druglessdoctor.com. That's druglessdoctor.com. And I have other information, other tools that are available, ways that the patients can get some of the blood tests that we talked about, that we're able to make that available to anybody anywhere in the world, Jonathan. I do a thank you for this opportunity to make a worldwide global impact.
It's my pleasure. Dr. Bob, thanks again, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody.